Yeah, I don't get it. But with that said, we'll take a look at our map band to see where we end up playing in this. Of course, best of one, because we're back to that.
Back to best of ones.
Yeah, 14 play days. You get to play so many times. 3 points if you win, 1 point if you tie, 0 if you lose. Pretty easy to understand. Now we're gonna play on Coastline, and expected. I actually did not look at any of this, and I completely expected it. Oh, BC is back. DarkZero are pretty good at Coastline. Reciprocity, not too shabby at it as well. They like to play with a lot of shotguns as well. If they run Jackal, oh, Jackal Buck on this map for Reciprocity in the attack. Blackbeard for Retro, count me excited.
It's going to be good, and honestly, the blitz play on Coastline, a little trickier to pull off, especially on some of the more verticality-focused sites. True.
More of a possibility. Flexibility. Coastline is one of the maps, one of the most played maps that we have in our Pro League map pool, and there's a reason for that. It's just a very flexible map. You can run so many different styles of defense and offense depending on whichever site you're playing on. Not many people, especially when Mira is banned, will play Penthouse, which went from the top played site to the least played site on the map, whereas Hookah Billiards is now #1, was least played before, and is actually the highest win rate for defense at around like 60%, 58 to 60%. I have to like check these things out, but if I remember correctly, through Invitational, through group stage and playoffs, are pretty darn high rate here and there. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time to set aside all these words and theories and all the stuff that we're crafting. It's time to get to war. It's Coastline between DarkZero and Reciprocity, our first matchup, the second half of Season 9 of Playday number 8.
You gotta get real whispery in there for the ASMR, don't you? Hey, look! It's a blitz ban!
Oh!
Oh my! Maybe they're learning.
I guess someone watched that Pojo digest.
I mean, how could you not? It was so sad.
Pojo, when does it come out? Nomad banned to nobody's
real surprise there. Especially on Coastline, where rotations are already difficult enough, considering the giant donut hole in the middle of the map that you can lock down from the roof.
Donuts are nice, dude. Don't be like that.
Pulse being banned out on the defense, so we're following with at least one of those top 5 defenders that are banned, and there goes Mira, basically nullifying any possibility of playing Pen Theater. Yeah.
It's not as great.
No, not without the Mira.
Yeah, I mean, the Pulse being banned reduces a lot of your strategies playing from below with C4. You'll still run a Valkyrie. The fact you see here, so a Valkyrie, Echo, Maestro specifically, these are going to be operators to look for. Oh my god. That Onko Shishin Elite for Hibana.
Hibana Elite.
Is so good. It's so good. It's literally the best, however much Rainbow Six credits I invested into this game ever. So worth it. Especially with that victory animation. Though, selling out aside, it's time to start the game. As you mentioned, we're going to start off on Hookah and Billiards. You see Maestro being picked up here by Retro. Fox on his... he's going to play some Gumais, going to play some around. We'll get to see possibly the change with Legion actually affecting the attackers in this way. But like Jarvis's way of predicting all of this, he'll run the IQ. He's going to be able to spot out a lot of information, a lot of utility that has been pre-placed by Reciprocity. Also keep in mind as well that Laxing is running the Valkyrie, so those cameras are stuff to really think about. 2 drones taken away in the prep phase, but nothing really to, no mute, no bandit, nothing like that to lock out the, just the walls from the outside, which means Hibana play from the top floor is going to be very much relevant.
Yeah, Foxy doing a bit of a lap and just sloppy drone economy, but oh my, Nyx is going to start things off for the second half of Season 9, dropping Mark in literally the first 10 seconds of the game. So a good start there for DarkZero. Nyx playing the Hibana is also a little weird considering DarkZero have been pretty notorious for not bringing any breachers on Coastline for at least the last 6 months.
Yeah, and this is the map that allows you to do that, right? We've harped on about it for so long, but yeah, you have the flexibility, but having the Hibana gives you even actually more flexibility. I mean, that Type 89 is still pretty darn good gun. It really depends on how you want to run the operator, but just having potential hard breach is pretty darn sweet. Now, DarkZero continues to scout out, and like that Maestro camera that's placed down by the pool table, it allows you to snipe out any drones that pass by. But I really like just using the drones in front of the Ash, droning in front of Hot and Cold, allowing them to destroy as much utility as possible without being contested at all by Reciprocity. You see how Rec are basically spread out as much as possible, but they might have a hole in their defense thanks to that early kill on Mark, which is definitely not something that you can neglect.
Looks like Skies is going to be running into some early trouble here, and he's going to retreat all the way in behind the couch and behind the billiards bar as he sensed the presence of Hot and Cold, quickly moving his way down luggage. And Jarvis will back off his angle on Aquarium Balcony and head downstairs, most likely in anticipation of anyone with a Nitro Cell, most likely Laxing heading downstairs. And Sky's getting aggressive on these Hibana holes in the back of the wall, and they were only able to get off these 2 remaining pellets. It's such a tight angle into luggage. And Skies is going to watch 2 attackers pass right by him in Hot and Cold and Mint.
And the problem now, because you've lost one of your players, Skies has to keep his eye on this. It's definitely not something you can just, run away from. What's kind of troubling is the fact that DarkZero aren't really dealing with anyone from below, so that Legion might be something to worry about later on in the round, but also the fact that you can clear away Skies pretty easily with a charge or a buck from below. Skies is going to try to clip through the wall with the smoke, so damage to be done on the opposite end of it. All utility being scanned as we speak by Jarvis as we head to the 32-second mark. Retro will find 1 kill with the Alda, just spraying all the way in the back. A pre-fire from Retro. Still, needs to reload. SMG-11 in hand, but it's Hot and Cold to move in. Pretty hot for this one. Laxing with 1 more onto BC in the office downstairs. Laxing from below. C4 already has been used, and Retro keeps firing in from Hookah. The diffuser successfully planted by Mint, but it's a 3v3 with health advantage on the defense. Retro continues to spray. Fox fighting in 90, but he's down, and Mint, well played on the Capitao. Still Laxing rotating in from the stairs up. Mint will find another one, and that's the ACOG that you were looking for. More flashes being thrown into Laxing as he maneuvers himself into Hookah. There's so many holes and so much sound being made. Have to know where he's at. Hot and Cold is low in HP. Definitely can be taken away. The Capitao is spotted, but Mint turns around and lands the 3K. The Capitao wins it out. DarkZero take round number 1.
Well, looks like Mint doesn't need a blitz to continue racking up kills. It was a beautifully executed round there from DarkZero, and honestly, it looked like it was getting away from them near the middling portions of the round, starting to slow things down quite a lot, and time was ticking away against them. And you also noted that it looked like they weren't going to do anything about the 2 roamers downstairs position for Team Reciprocity. Give it another 5 seconds, and all of a sudden they come charging into the office. They play the trade-outs beautifully, and Laxing has to retake in a 1v3 situation. And we've seen a lot of Hookah retakes with someone coming up from downstairs be quite unsuccessful. It's one of the most miraculous ones that that really pull it off. And Mint with 3 in the round, and obviously Nick starting things off extremely early onto Mark. I really wonder where in the world he was to get picked off that quickly, or if he was just playing incredibly aggressive. So I also said that losing the Mirror in the ban phase would basically nullify any Pen Theater play.
Yeah.
And yet we find ourselves on Pen Theater in round number 2.
What do you know?
Maybe Reciprocity have something up the sleeve that even I'm not privy to.
Well, I look at the lineup at the defense and you see the Doc. Then suddenly you're like, huh, we actually saw this quite a bit. Liquid, for example, in Latin America played this strategy. Now, if we can take a look at the penthouse here, Marcio, just go back and see how the defense has set it up. There's no shield, and the wall is soft, but Skies is playing close to the bomb. This is pretty weird. Usually there's a shield to allow the Doc to play from theater into the hallway. You see the pre-placed ADS in there, but nothing more. And, I mean, at least the wall that Mark is sitting behind is reinforced, but it's not much in play, really, for the setup. Retro had already taken a decent chunk of damage early on, playing by the desk. So you already see the tarp being taken in by Nyx on the Hibana.
If I'm Skies on smoke, I'm playing very cautious knowing that BC playing Buck is on the other side of the board. And I really don't want to play in behind that half wall inside of Penthouse. I'd rather stay nice and safe behind some ADSs in theater. Retro will take 1 stim pistol to get him back up towards 75. But BC has already done enough damage. A minute burned now, and Mint taking a little bit of damage on, I'm assuming, a run out there from Foxay all the way at the Sunrise entrance. But he'll retreat, again, striking not a lethal blow, but one to at least push DarkZero back. Yeah,
and a reminder that now resets, they put you back to 20 HP, not to 50. So something to keep in mind. Maybe before you would have reset the Capitao, now you wouldn't.
And there goes Laxing getting droned out down inside of bathroom. So again, that verticality on the Nitro cells being spotted out, and DarkZero took their sweet time taking care of it last time, but eventually played it out perfectly, and BC will catch off Retro in a rotation, and BC, again, just a demonstration of pure patience. ADS is being burned out now by Hot and Cold, and there goes that bulletproof camera as well. The asphyxiating bolts cutting off rotation on the doorway from Penthouse to Theater as well. So here comes that DarkZero execute a little bit earlier than last time.
Yeah, no Habana holes have been opened up in the bathroom to allow Jarvis and or his teammates, to basically the Ash in this case, Hot and Cold, to deal with Foxay. So many goon mines have been pre-placed in around VIP and Hall of Fame, but he's going to have to worry about the drones. Finally, they're taken down. He's going to get burned from the back as you can clip it through the wall still. Foxay takes a lot of damage, but is still alive, and BC from downtown takes down Laxing. That's the C4 eliminated, as well as the Valkyrie. 3v5, but look at the HP. At least what's left of it available for the attacking side. Fox will rush into the smoke and through it. Skies and Fox, they find a kill each in this turn, so an equilibrium. 3v3, but Skies will have to retake. Fox will find one on Nyx. They're still somehow in control here with Reciprocity.
Inside of the bathroom stall, and Mark will claim another victim. There goes another one. BC returning to familiar ways, lancing and fire, but Skies will turn and win it out onto BC. Just some missed shots there, but oh, is that such a nostalgic feeling seeing BC, Brandon Carr, back with those frag grenades.
Yeah, he eviscerated.
Oh my, I hate you. I will turn and slap you right here on camera. Watch me.
He'll actually do it.
I will. I will.
Oh my god. So yes, pretty exciting 2 rounds, to say the least. First 2 rounds of the half season, and we're already set to go. So I'm pretty excited to see what the rest handles. We're still continuing on, just by the way, if you're watching. We didn't go anywhere, and we're going to head back into game. And things look to be all set and all right. 1-1 the score so far, and Reciprocity now want to play on Sunrise and blue balls.
Ah, I can't stop smiling. 2 frag grenades, 2 kills.
Those were good. See,
BC's back, baby.
This is why we mentioned BC so much. There's a reason why he is one of the most famous, if not the most famous Buck player to have ever graced Rainbow Six competitively. So there you go. You got to see it firsthand. Consider yourselves lucky.
Man, and that's that last round there for DarkZero. I mean, that was Reciprocity just toying with DarkZero, using their utility against them, rushing through the smoke, retaking a position that was previously sacrificed very early on. That bathroom was lost to Reciprocity within the first minute and a half, and yet one rush through a smoke takes it all back, and that momentum that DarkZero had garnered in the 5v3 all just evaporates.
Yeah, 3 things to highlight. First of all, the running through the smoke, Fox played it very well. However, the holes were never, there were no Habana holes ever opened from the hatch to deal with the hallway via the bathroom, which is something you should be doing to easily clear out, in this case, the Legion that was playing in Hall of Fame. Something to keep in mind for later, of course. But in the end, it was complete control for Reciprocity once they kind of were able to thrive in the chaos that was created in the round. But there you go. That was Penthouse as well. That is the 3rd point. Around, or a site that is a bit of a toss-up. See who wins it or not. DarkZero still looking through to deal with offices and Laxing in there as that Valkyrie just trying to delay as long as possible. And that's over a minute actually taken away with no damage exchange. It's pretty darn good for the defense.
It's a lot of drones and a lot of flashbangs as well, a lot of times, just a lot of general utility for DarkZero burnt to not acquire anything. Some missed shots very early on from Hot and Cold on the office CCTV. Rotate hallway onto Mark. Also, not a single one connecting. Mark will escape scot-free, and Laxing, no pressure on his position. No one from DarkZero really able to force him out, and he still has this power pressure control, making sure that no one from DarkZero can currently push him through office and start that blue bar initiated push.
That's halfway through the round. So keep that in mind. DarkZero kind of taking their time in this. Now, last time these 2 teams actually played against one another was in Week 7 of NAPL, and it was on Oregon. Oh, Jarvis finds the first kill on Retro. All right, grenades are not really hitting here. At least the first one did not. You hear the goo mine going off, so a bit of damage has been done to Mint on the Capitao. Otherwise, Jarvis has the breaching charges, so he can use them at any point in time. Also, having that... That's an odd goo mine.
That is. I feel like that missed.
Yeah, no, Foxay never misses.
Jarvis working his way down the Cool Vibe stairs after he garnered that first initial pick, and he'll hear the telltale signs of another goo mine detonating right at his feet. It's right in front of him. Somehow Jarvis is not triggering, and he'll walk straight down the stairs and finally trigger, but not after he collects the kill onto Fox, for 2 on the round. Now for Jarvis, taking a little bit of reciprocating fire, and BC still causing havoc from above, and ooh baby, give me another frag grenade kill. He's gonna bounce it off the back, but it gets caught out by an ADS, but there's no time remaining. Mint will claim another victim, Nyx will tack on, it's all skies alone, and he will perish at the hands of that ACOG-less R4C. For hot and cold, and once again, DarkZero on the recovery, taking a lot of time to try and clear out Laxing inside of the office. Refocus, go upstairs, and work the way back down properly, and hey, they still collect the round beautifully.
Yeah, they knew they had the manpower, so why not just use the technical operators at the top floor, and other than that, push the others down in. You have those 5 players that are alive, 1 can drone, 2 can play the top, 2 can play the bottom, and it was extremely well played in the execution. So DarkZero put up the second round on the board. We go to round 4. And, now, you see the operator bans, actually. Both shields have been banned. So, the Monty and the Blitz. The Mira removed. No, it shouldn't be like that. There's a Pulse ban. So, you can't ban 2 attackers. It's Nomad and Pulse. We'll get on that. But Nomad's there. We didn't see a Kayed ban. But you don't really need Kayed on this. You don't really need a Bandit. You don't really need a mute. This is, you know, that sort of flexibility isn't required for a map like Coastline. But maybe with the fact that DarkZero are running that Havana to play from the top floor or from the roof and open up the wall into the site, maybe this is something you have to consider if you're playing on the attacking or on the defense here for Reciprocity. Maybe you should bring a mute. Maybe you should do something, because they held on to that bottom floor pretty much the entire round.
It's going to be another statement for DarkZero to, I guess, pick up the pace a little bit, but I mean, their patience game has been working out for them so far. Reciprocity, typically the team that plays the patience much better than most teams. However, right now, it's DarkZero just outpacing them right now in every step of the way. And they currently hold the 2-1 lead, and on Coastline, it's been a back-and-forth affair as to which side really takes the advantage. For a long time there, it was the attacking side on Coastline, taking a marked advantage in rounds 1, and now it's kind of shifted back towards the defense. It's almost split right down the middle currently. And it's actually one of the most attacking-sided maps in Pro League, even though it's about 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, usually the defense has like a 1 or 2% advantage, right? That's why most attacker favored, but again, you have to think about it in not the extreme. This is what most people kind of go in their thoughts. So, you know, I'll bring it back a bit more to reality. Snap back to reality, right? Up that goes gravity. And BC usually is the one responsible for it with his grenades. But right now, just scouting things out. Spots some utility, takes it out. Goo mine will do a tiny bit of damage to hot and cold, slow him down for a second. But Mint will continue to drone and set up his drone to cover rotations by the main lobby desk.
Well, it's a good retreat here from Team Reciprocity, and honestly, they've had trouble with keeping roamers alive for the majority of the round. It's usually been the case that Team Reciprocity will lose a member of their team first, and it's eventually led to the demise of the round for them entirely. But now we eclipse 70 seconds remaining in the round, and once again, we see a heavy Aquarium stack coming out from DarkZero as they look to push in for a default plant. And again, they'll turn their attention towards the office and blue bar section to make sure that Laxon cannot make his way downstairs with that lethal C4 on the Valkyrie. And you have a lot of information at the disposal of the defenders inside the objective, but it's going to come down to those last-second flurries and maybe BC connecting with a few more of those frag grenades inside the objective.
One thing I like is how those Evil Eyes from the Maestro Retro have been set up. There's one that you can see next to the pool table, but there's also another one as well in Aquarium. Both of those are pretty good at basically forcing utility to be played from the attackers, and Hot and Cold has done a pretty good job at using his, there you go, his Ash Charges to delete those Evil Eyes, just because you have, the Breaching Charge has more of an explosive radius to destroy Evil Eyes, even if you do miss. Now smokes are being clipped through the wall by Skies, and one will fall. Hot and Cold actually tapped to the face of Skies will take him out. 7 seconds on the clock, and you see that Goo Mine disruption in the face of the attackers. Retro will find 2 more as Laxing will get 1 on the board, and Mark for the final 1 on Mint. The Reciprocity pick up round number 4 and tie it up. I love how Mark is running the Shark that beautiful new skin on...
Don't make me sing the song.
Please don't.
No, I'm not going to. That round looked like it was actually going to go in the favor of DarkZero. Screw your memes. Screw your memes entirely. That round definitely looked like it was going to go in the favor of DarkZero, specifically because of Jarvis's breaching charge on the hookah door. It distracted the living crap out of Mark and Retro. And it was enough for Hot and Cold to get his entry in and pick off Skies. But after that, there was just nothing further tacked onto that. And everyone reacquired their attention back towards the site execute on the side of Reciprocity, and were able to clean things up. But that one little split-second distraction there from Jarvis was almost enough to swing the round back in their favor. But we draw even now to 2-2, and we're going back and forth as the statistics say we should be. And another Pent Theater defense. I imagine that quite brazen tactic of rushing straight through a smoke will not work a second time in a row here for Reciprocity. Having approaching the midway point in the previous time, they defended this objective being down 2 operators. I have a feeling they're going to have to come out with a more miraculous play than even last time around to salvage this round, and we haven't even begun yet.
Yeah. Now, I wonder if that roam play in the bottom floor is going to be something that Reciprocity want to heavily invest in. Definitely a possibility, because, I mean, DarkZero have not always been super effective at clearing the bottom floor before they go back up, right? But I guess they have realized the error in their ways in the past, and maybe it's going to try to fix them here. You see so much of the setup that had already been pre-done to allow the defenders to fight against any of these setups. Relaxing right behind the bar here in Sunrise. We'll spot one on the walk-in, and no bullets will land a Hot and Cold. Relaxing, missing the shot. And unfortunate here that early entry on the Ash could have definitely proven to be a big help for the team. But you already see so much utility that has been used downstairs just because you actually don't end up using too much of it on the top floor.
Well, I got a question. Is this Hot and Cold turning out to be cold today? Because that's the 3rd time he's tried to make an entry and missed some pretty crucial shots onto a roamer that really, again, could have changed the outcome of the round and the course and the momentum of it? Or is it just the R4C losing the ACOG that seems to be the big determining factor?
I mean, there's a lot of players, dedicated Ash players, that already ran the Hollow, right? So I don't really think it's that, but it will have an effect, that's for sure. And as people get used to it, it'll become even less and less of an actual thing. But for now, maybe, yes. I'll have to explore it later, though. Foxay playing in the hallway here. 90 looking his way down to VIP. Nobody peeking through the main window from the DJ booth, but you see the rotation hole that has been preset by the defenders to try and maybe run Mark with that ACOG down through the middle and protect the penthouse. And DarkZero just going to go in and plant. No! Nyx bounces off the last second, forces two smoke canisters to be used at a 56-second mark, and Jarvis gets the free kill on Fox. Overall, so much utility and a player down for Reciprocity. Huge for DarkZero.
It almost looked like it was going to be a successful 5v5 plant attempt, but now Retro aiming in to take a gun battle against BC, and a horrid mistake made as BC will remove his head in a one-tap. And now Laxing taking suppressing fire from the depths of the kitchen service entrance. And he'll have to retreat towards Lambo to walk into the waiting arms of BC once again, but he has his attention trained towards a drone at the moment, trying to acquire more information. He'll rip off the drone, knowing that Laxing is now maneuvering his way back up the theater stairs. And it'll be a 3-man stack for Reciprocity inside of the theater. There goes that flank potential through VIP. It's the 5v3 advantage once again for DarkZero, but with time ticking away and a botched smoke grenade on the door frame, just enough now for Nyx to push his way in and start attempting a plant. In behind the bomb, though, Mark will pick him down. BC with an immediate refrag onto Skies, though. Another plant attempt coming out from Mitt. The Nitro Cell will go soaring, and it'll end the round. Laxing will connect, and Reciprocity pull off another miraculous 2-man down victory on Penthouse and Theater.
With the amount of time, that botched smoke from the Capitao might have just been the thing that ruined the whole round. The IQ could have planted in that position without having to worry about fire from the side, and Mark finds the kill, the most important frag of that round, and it slowed it all down. You went in for the second one. By that point, it was too late. The Valkyrie had already rotated back. Laxing had the Nitro Cell in the back pocket, and boom! Capitao went.
That's another 5v3 advantage for DarkZero. And it slipped away through their fingers once again. That advantage that they've had back-to-back times attacking Penn Theater, and Reciprocity and their resilience kind of showing you why they made it to the semifinals of the Six Invitational not long ago.
Yeah, didn't fare too well against G2.
No, they got slapped, I think is the common term that the kids use these days.
Yes. How do you do, fellow children? But indeed, Reciprocity here kind of always able to fight it back, and you can't just throw them away. There's a reason why they're in the top of NA Pro League. There's a reason why they did so well at LAN. This is not a team that you can just throw to the side. They have fun. They have their own quirky behavior, but that doesn't mean that when the going gets tough, this is a team that's not going to try to lock it down, and they're giving DarkZero a hard time here. But draw in front of Hot and Cold as you see the rest of the squad following suit. And they'll move into the office, take control of that. Hatch is closed as far as, no, is open as far as I can see it in the aquarium. There you go. But is there anybody playing in the, is there a camera that was set there? No, there is not. Okay, so there's nothing in there. Good to know.
Good to know.
So, what's the setup like? I'm curious to see that wall. Only single reinforcement. Usually there's two. But here, this gives you more of a breathing room for retakes. I like this. I don't like when teams lock it down. But Jarvis is going to find the first kill. Fox this time. Should have been able to place around, what, 3 or 4 goo mines at this point. Fourth, if he was able to kind of put it down. So it's around half of his goo mines. Not too great, though. Losing Legion and Fox that has had pretty positive impact on the round so far.
Well, it's another round. Team Reciprocity will start on their back foot, but they have not been shy in pulling rounds back. They probably should not have won, and they'll look to continue to do so and establish a 2-round lead heading into the half. Last DarkZero win this, and we go level into the halfway mark again, trending directly into the statistics that we currently have. It'll be Reciprocity, though, a team that has bucked a lot of expectations and statistics along their way in this most recent run with their one roster change that seems to have turned everything around for them.
Yeah, maybe it was the one needed, the Toy Story. That was a moment where we all cried. Well, in the meantime, smokes are going off. Laxing has boosted it himself, just trying to fight on with his dock. One more gas canister available, and you see the castle playing from the top side. No one has cleared Retro yet. It was able to run back up to VIP where Fox was, and was down. Styes will take a bit of damage, and oh, that's a pretty long angle. Close one that is being used on the attack. Another smoke being popped up at the 40-second mark. Give you a bit more time to put your players in a correct position, but DarkZero are prepping for their push, and they might be wanting to use their soft wall to their advantage. You see the dock on the other side. Skies, a beautiful shot in Honda Cold, refragged by PC on the Laxing.
The newcomer still showing out with 23 seconds and a 4v3. It'll come down to a flurry of bullets in the objective. Next with 2. Oh, what a beautiful shot that the Greats to connect onto the head of Mark, and Jarvis will clean things up, leading us into the half at a 3-3 draw. And props to Reciprocity for maneuvering the map and running the gauntlet on all 4 possible defensive sites on Coastline. They've come away with 3 victories on the defensive side, and arguably 2 that they really shouldn't have had on Penn Theater. So DarkZero in control of the game in the early round. It's the late round they need to work on their executes on attacking side. On the defense, Reciprocity, the resiliency hard to discount right now.
Very true, and this has been a thing with DarkZero for quite a bit. Not only on their attack, but also on their defense. I want to take you back to Game 1 that they had in the season. They played against, that was their first game. They played against Rise Nation on Oregon. And it was a 7-4 for DarkZero, but 3 rounds, Rise were able to get on the attack purely because DarkZero was like, oh, we want to play tower. Oh, we don't play tower. Oh, I want to play tower. And you're like, you're losing the same way every single round. Like, maybe you should change. And then finally they did, and finally they won. So maybe that was the one thing that they needed. That sometimes that hard-headedness that helps DarkZero win the game sometimes drags it on a bit too long. And in the words of many wise people, Coastline might look and statistically feel like an attacker-sided map by just a couple percentage points, but the closer the teams are, the more equal it becomes. And seeing these 2 teams and their experience and what they've done in the past few months, I'm not surprised at all that we end the half 3-3. But now, DarkZero at around 7, shutting off with defense, and they run a pretty similar lineup and setup to what we saw from Reciprocity, playing the fact that there's a mute on the board. Nyx playing the operator here for DZ.
Side swap, and we head to hookah and billiards as the primary defensive objective, and not a lot of alterations to the way that Reciprocity were setting up. However, the operator lineup tweaked slightly. We have Nyx playing mute, an operator that Reciprocity neglected to bring entirely. And they'll double up with Mint on the smoke as well. So obvious role swaps here for the roster changes that have been made on the side of DarkZero. BC playing on the Maestro, so just new operators in general coming out from DarkZero from the norm that they typically would play. And Reciprocity, almost like Empire, not really deviating from their normal 5, 6, 7 operators that they like to run constantly regardless of objective. They like a universal set, and like I said, Skies on a bit of a role change. Playing smoke all 6 defensive rounds, and now he's currently not carrying the diffuser like he said he was going to be on Twitter, but he is playing Breach, which is a very, very different role than his typical roles he's played in Pro League in seasons past.
Yeah, we're used to seeing him on the AQ, for example, operators like that. More aggressive entry fragging operators, but Retro has had decent success on the Ash, similar to Fox on the Jackal. And really, when it comes to North America, Fox is one of the greatest Jackals, I think, that are on it, and it fits very well with the name, right? But there you go. Jackal, good operator in a map that has a lot of soft destruction to it, but also to hunt those roamers. And the Sly Fox of Fox A has been fairly proficient at running the operator, Villa and Coastline being 2 highlight maps to really point at in the context.
Whew.
Yeah.
Oh,
he finds it! Laxing! Oh, baby! What a shot gets on the tarp now. Wonderfully baited in a hot and cold. Now, not only is this the Valkyrie off, but also a bit of C4. Can he find the head in the back? No, they're using the shield so well. If he only had something to pop it with, no longer available. But Fox will find one on Jarvis. One spot in the back. Damage done. No, Nyx with a double C4. Skies and Mark will go down. But Retro is still in. Fox to chase around for the kill, but Nyx runs all the way back. And things calm down at the 25-second mark.
That deployable shield causing a massive headache for Laxing out on that tarp as Nyx is able to duck back into safety multiple times over. Now Foxe deploying a smoke will get caught out by the ADS, spotted vehemently by this evil eye, and as soon as he turns the corner, he'll be in for a world of hurt from the Alda, but no one peeking it. He'll spot the foot momentarily. No, he won't. Mint will stand clean up and drop Foxe. Another one from Nyx, and now suddenly it's Retro alone with the fuser in hand. Nyx will grab another one. 4 on the round for him. And that is DarkZero also pulling one back from the depths. Another 3v5 round back in the favor of the defense. It is just the day of comebacks for defensive sides today.
You can say that hookah billiard site is to Reciprocity what Penthouse was for DarkZero, at least on the first round of the half.
Well, not unlike DarkZero, Reciprocity were taking those attacks extremely patiently, I'll say. I don't want to say they were slow, because they still got a site execute off at the end. It just kind of deteriorated into nothing. But not unlike DarkZero, they're playing down to the last 45 seconds before they really make their move. You can see Hot and Cold getting, I don't want to say bored, but didn't really have an objective, so he goes for a run-out, just trying to spot anyone holding an angle, and he walks into the waiting arms of Laxing.
I mean, the setup was, okay, I'll fight the Zofia on the tarp, but Laxing kind of pre-predicted that and put himself on the roof instead of being on the tarp itself, which is what affected the Valkyrie when in that case, ran out and tried to find a kill. And then, well, it didn't really pan out the same way that he was expecting. But the round aside, DarkZero are going to start to set up here downstairs in the double bars. Maestro camera alongside a mute jammer on the drone hole. Something to keep in mind, as well as Nyx running the Vigil. Now, Dokebi is not banned. It's definitely playable, usable, right? But we'll be seeing her just yet. Remember, she's not as strong as she was before, especially with how prevalent mute is, as what it seems to be the case for DarkZero.
Well, same 5 attacking operators for Reciprocity. Like I said, they don't really tend to deviate unless things are going horribly, horribly wrong. And that round came down to the wire at the end, so I imagine they're pretty comfortable. I'm not sure if that was a nitro cell that just
Looks
way too
sounds
premature.
like it.
Yeah, either that or an impact for some weird kill holes.
Impact, I guess. Nyx. Yeah, because both C4 is still available, so. Okay.
Just trying to watch and see if anyone walks into the aquarium, I guess. Interesting coverage, and Sky's still facilitating that Hibana roll, has dropped the ACOG, and now will crack open the holographic side of the Type 89. And ever since that Type 89 got a recoil adjustment, it's been a tricky one for a lot of people to maintain that fragging pace that Hibana's used to maintain. And this punch hole setup from Nyx inside the kitchen right up against that reinforced wall, also going to cause a lot of headaches for anyone trying to push their way in. And you can see Reciprocity, not really a lot of entry into the entire building, still collecting themselves outside, trying to find one successful point of ingress to at least garner some ground, some map control, and begin a push. But Foxe looks like he'll be that immediate entry, taking down hot and cold on the Cool Vibe stairs.
Good start here for Reciprocity, but not a second too late. They find the entry that is so required at this point. Nyx has also been tagged down, and comes in and finds the shot on Retro. Unfortunately, you activate that ERC and no drones will spot you, and this is what you can use to your advantage. Spot from below or above. Mint, go away for just a second. Should be back anytime soon. And you hear the Hibana X Kairos being used to open up holes in the wall. Fox open a hatch for later round rotations. AC moving a bit closer. Rotation holes and holes in general have been poked into the blue bar entrance, so you can use that that position to kind of take away any player that wants to plant behind the bar itself. Fox and the squad taking a bit of their time and might be a bit too late now to try and recover it. They'll fire in the back of the blue stairs. Fox will find the kill on Nyx. Slowly around the side, but 2 kills in a row for Reciprocity. 1v4. Jarvis, last man alive. Nitro Cell in hand, but he can't win the fight so far against Skies. He'll get shot and spotted from every single which angle. Find the Zofia and unable to drop her. Deagle in hand, and Laxing will win it out. Reciprocity. Round number 8 going their way, and this is just back and forth and back and forth. Robert.
Hassan.
Are we going to see a tie?
I mean, at this point, it's quite likely. We're also going to need a little bit of a delay.
4-4.
In between round 8 and round 9.
Yeah. So, 4-4. A little C4 knocking at your door. I don't know how many people will catch that reference. Did you?
No.
For people that, well, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. People that didn't play Red Alert 2.
Okay.
You might remember the Navy SEAL that says, "A little C4 knocking at your door." That's.
Yeah, a very niche reference.
It's a pretty popular game. Well, back in the early 2000s, late 90s. Look, chat.
I wasn't born then, so that's kind of an issue.
Are you even legal?
I don't feel comfortable answering that on stream. I'm going to call HR. Because I can now. Before I couldn't, but now I can, and I'm going to.
Legal as in travel on your own. There you go. What do we have? Production's telling us there's stuff to look at. Damn. That's pretty sweet.
It's a bunch of replays. Oh. Can you? Oh, yeah. Hear us now. There we go.
That's something new, ladies and gentlemen. If you well, you didn't know, but we have an extra camera here that is going to record us all the time, and
that is a bad thing for me.
Let's just say that you're going to see these things pop up every now and then.
You don't want to see me jumping around, because once things get a little fun, I tend to move a lot.
You like to move
aggressively in various directions.
No?
I remember DreamHack Montreal. I jumped so far that I almost ripped out the cord.
Well, I actually already ripped it out. I ripped it out 3 times.
Yeah.
In Valencia.
Yeah.
And then I can't hear myself anymore, because this is what happens when you disconnect the cord.
Yep.
And you're like, whoops. Audio lady didn't see that I did that. I'm just going to plug them in on my own.
Just put that back in. You're fine.
Nothing
You're fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Some people that watched the 6 Invitational 2018 recap video.
Yeah.
At the grand final winning moment, when the camera pans to kick Sintero as like casting the final moment, if you look at behind Intero, Fabian spotted this and sent me the video. And he's like, biased EU caster jumps up when Penta Sports win.
No.
And you can see me next to him like, ah, yes! So, sorry, North America.
Hey, everybody's got a region they cheer for.
I cheer for everything.
Yeah.
Actually, yes.
Okay.
Actually, yes. And you look at it, when we have a flood of great plays and great players playing off individually and as a team, that is what I strive for. I don't care. Anybody could have won Invite. Anybody could have won the game.
All right, so if I won Invite, if I was casting, if I won it, how would you feel? Be honest.
Look, man, I think it's time for another reference.
He's biased against Canadians. This is all the proof I need.
Okay, if you haven't watched Avengers at this point, I've gone through like 14 million and whatever circumstances in my head, and I found only one where you would win Invitational and everything would have to go by perfectly. Don't say, oh, spoiler alert, it's been a year, okay? Come on.
It's been a year, guys. Come on. Like, the new one's coming out soon.
Yeah.
Where's the trailer coming out soon? No, the trailer already came out, right? I don't know.
I like to not spoil myself until the actual thing.
That's a good idea. But the teaser for the movie trailers are so complicated now.
If only you had a teaser trailer for Pro League.
That'd be cool.
What would we have?
Well, we'd have Parker not casting any aces.
Kick saying what is happening.
Yep.
Emzo saying holes work both ways.
Yep.
We'll see. It'll be interesting. Me saying, guess what? And threads the needle.
Yep.
And are you kidding me?
Yep.
You saying eviscerate.
Yep.
And what up, hoser? Or whatever. What do you say? Oh, no. You say the Russian machine.
Okay, I said that like 4 times.
And
then Matt stole it from me. I said that in the green room, and then Matt took it to the stage without even telling me. I'm mad, Matt. If you're out there, I'm mad.
Chat, he's lying. He actually said that like 17 billion times. I rewatched the game. I reviewed it like just a few days ago. Chat, you can you can confirm. Please. No. This is a time where a statistic has to pop and is like, well, actually, Flame, you're wrong.
All right. If there was such a ticker and it showed up, it would show up way too often. It would show up all the time. the whole thing with casting is just say something so blatantly ignorantly that it sounds confident and right. There's no accuracy behind it.
Yeah, there's specific word that I don't think we can use on camera to qualify all of this, but so I won't say it. But we actually have a game, believe it or not. Believe it or not, George isn't at home. You know, if you ever watched Seinfeld, no, it's too much for you. So, how old are you?
21.
No, you don't have to say it. We're in Europe. It's GDPR. It's a rule where...
I don't know what that means.
You have to ask for consent before you give any sort of personal information out in public and specifically on the internet.
It's on my Twitter.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, whatever. Okay. So, DarkZero Reciprocity. Coastline, right?
I guess we can talk about the game.
We have nothing else to do. So, DarkZero Reciprocity. We're waiting on the rehost, by the way. This is why we're doing this, so...
I can just see all the chat just cringe nonstop.
People that write cringe in chat, people that don't know how to have fun in their lives.
Just smile, guys. Just smile.
Any smilers in chat? Okay.
For the game.
Yeah, DarkZero Reciprocity, back and forth the whole time. Highlights, BC on the buck, that's for sure, right? Adjusting to lineup pretty darn well, I have to say. Penthouse play for Reciprocity on the defense, pretty good. I think we're ready to head into game. We're just going to check and see if all the settings are set, and then we'll go into it. We go to the second side. DarkZero went around that is very similar to how things went on Penthouse with Reciprocity on the defense, and then the next round is Absolute Destruction with the push onto the bars.
It's surprising because, honestly, if you look back to those Penthouse and Theater defenses, DarkZero were a botched smoke bolt on a door frame. And
on your teammate, actually, in the back of your teammate.
And Foxay running through a smoke. That is the difference. Those two very minute, except monumental happenstances are the difference between a 5-1 lead heading into the half, and then you won the next round. Like, this could be over. Or a 3-3 heading into the half.
Welcome to competitive play at the highest level of Rainbow Six.
Smallest things.
Yeah, literally a crossbow bolt went off incorrectly the whole round, no matter how it was prepped. 3v5.
Everyone had visibility on the plant attempts. Yeah. That one smoke ball hits on the other door frame into Theater, and there's no visibility. Mark doesn't get that kill, and maybe that Nitro doesn't hit. Maybe that Nitro doesn't even matter.
This is why this game is so... Watching competitive play at the highest level. it's just you get to see these small things and you understand how the players are just so well acclimated. So many of the changes and these tiny, minute things that you need to spot and always keep in the back of your mind. There's so much information going on. I have to say, this is... It takes quite a bit to try and process it and relay it back, and a bit of a shout out and a nod to in-game leaders that have to process all of it and then send it back to their teammates, and some in-game leaders that like Fabian, who also end up being one of the top players in the world, even whilst doing so.
Well, that's awkward. It's a Jackal ping on a Legion 6 inches away from you on the other side of a wall, and there goes Foxay dispatching of Mint quite easily as his location was completely revealed, but Foxay getting an old-style reset down to 50 HP instead of down to 100. But, hey, a little bit of damage done from Mint. A lot of damage lost in that utility being sacrificed early, and Jarvis not going to try and re-engage. He was top of the theater stairs, but decided to play it safe and back off.
Yeah, he got tagged by the Jackal, and now the Hibana opens up 2 holes in the rotation. No! The smoke on Hot and Cold runs away, but Nyx takes a bit more damage from Retro in the office. Entering the Ash at the perfect moment. Reciprocity trying to take control. Nyx has tiny bullet holes to use his advantage. Again, identifying that Vigil. Not sure if there's still one more ping available for that Jackal, but the rest of DarkZero will fall back on the site. So much has been given away to Reciprocity, and Fox finally lands the kill. Nyx will go down. The Vigil still has not come back to the site to fight. He spotted Fox with another one. That's 3 for him. An extra smoke popped, and he's looking for a 4th. Foxay trying to thread it in the back. BC on the Maestro. Laxing down and trying to set things up as Laxing will find one. BC on the run out. He'll find Laxing in the middle of the desk. Diffuser being set by Mark as we speak. A minute down on the board. Maestro cameras are being used. Evil Eyes are pinging everybody. Skies is down on the floor, but BC has no knowledge of that. He'll find the headshot. Foxy on the floor. A beautiful flick from the Maestro. Still has 2 more players to go through. He'll try to move down the Hibana hole, but Retro is already on the opposite end. And by 90, he'll find the kill. Reciprocity pick up a round. A beautiful execution off of the Jackal. I mentioned it, and I lauded the fact that we finally have the opportunity to see Fox on Jackal, appropriately named. And there you go. That's the effect that Mr. Davide Bucci has on the game. Again, a fellow Canadian.
Yeah. He actually DM'd me to say congratulations. And I forgot to DM him back because I had to get on a plane. So I feel really bad. So, Davide, if you're back watching this later on in VOD review, I'm sorry. I'll message you back later. 5-4 lead now for Reciprocity. That round was textbook roam clear. And on Coastline, that's kind of how she goes. Rotations, like I said, are quite difficult at times with that, with just the amount of purview you have over different regions of the map. And the Jackal is not making things on the side of DarkZero any easier. So we talk about how Reciprocity should probably auto-ban, actually everyone should auto-ban Blitz against DarkZero.
Yeah.
Maybe Jackal is becoming an auto-ban against Reciprocity, considering how often Foxay plays it, how well Foxay plays it, as you've been astutely pointing out throughout the majority of this match. And Reciprocity, like I said, they don't deviate from those 5 operators. They play those same 5 ops over and over again. You throw a kink in that plan, man, you might see some different change-ups and some different progressions and maybe a slower Team Reciprocity than they have been lately.
And you say slower, but Retro's not running a Blackbeard.
No.
He's running an Ash. And the odd thing is that Reciprocity are also running 2 players other than Retro that can play a pretty mean Blackbeard as well in Skies and Laxing. So it's not like you're running out of options. There's a lot of flexibility available for Reciprocity, more than a lot of people actually give them credit. So that to keep in mind, though. DarkZero has definitely been no slouch. You can tell by the scoreboard and by how close every single round has been. Both teams are giving it their all because they're fighting for that top spot in Pro League for NA, and at least the spot as well to make it to the Milan Pro League Finals. Walk in. No damage done, though. Exchange between the 2 teams. Mark ready and on his feet. Player that has been running quite a bit of Capitao and the Thermite every now and then, depending on the map. Capitao being a more sound operator pick for this map on Coast.
Another instance of Hot and Cold just unfortunately missing the shots. I mean, it was very, very quick engagement there, as a lot of them have been, where he's missed his entry shots on the attacking side on Ash, and this time on defense with the Valkyrie. But you can see he was prepping that Sunrise entrance door much quicker this time around. not trying to go out there with a minute remaining and Laxing's already posted up on the tarp. He wants to prep that things for whenever the call comes out. The Laxing has made his way down that purple tarp into the position of death to take out anyone inside a hookah to be that surprise factor. And once again, we see a 3-man stack into Aquarium. Pretty standard for the majority of the day. And flashbangs will come in to burn out the ADSs. Just the only difference on the Team Reciprocity side, no frag grenades. Although Sky's pushing his way and clearing out the barb without diffuser.
Oh! Nyx again from the back, doesn't even need an ACOG. Mark the Shark is taken down, but Nyx is on the floor as well. Laxing on the tarp, doing the damage, as you mentioned quite astutely yourself, my good sir. Now, diffusers are going to get set. Smokes have already been used here, but there's still some available if Mint were to use them, and it'll try to clip them through the wall. Skies just holding on to the one angle that he has, as we'll see Fox and Mark both dispatched. Nick's still on the floor, but nobody can pick him up. The push-up from Retro, the top of the pool table. He's spotted and hot and cold with the opposite angle. Skies with one more on a H&C. BC with a refrag, all up to Laxing in the 4v1, and the Zofia can't do much. 20 seconds left on the clock, and make that actually a 3v1. Mind you, Nyx has still not been picked up yet. 2 live finds are still available, and they are the stun variant. The Gishmot, Storm, the Lightning. Laxing will have to pull off a lightning fast reflex play, and oh no, okay, I got overexcited there, I'll tell you that. Forgot that Nyx is still on the floor. I'm like, whoa, he didn't hit that.
A great shot on the Evil Eye. Nailed it.
See, this is what happens when you get so excited for a new half.
Yep.
And I haven't cast it since Playday number 7, so.
True, it's been a minute. Getting back into the swing of things. Well, we got a barn burner of a game to come back to. And I mean, would you expect anything less from these two teams?
No, this is the least I would expect. 2 teams that are giving it their all, 2 of the best teams in North America. They both want to go to LAN. They both want to prove to everyone how good they are, and a lot of bragging rights up there. DarkZero not having really done much on LAN except for DreamHack Montreal, right? And even then, that was their only real performance. Otherwise, they weren't in the
semi-finals. They went out in the semis against Rogue.
Yep. And that was otherwise, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that perpetually finishes in 3rd place inside of the region. They have not made it to a Pro League LAN or a major in I don't know how long. I think
since year 2, season 1.
Yeah, year 2, season 1.
And I casted them. I remember casting DarkZero, which back then was Flipside Tactics. That was the 2nd game I ever casted with Emzo on there, my 2nd game ever Pro League. And they played on Bank against G-Bots, and that was the infamous event where not only we have a Spanish representative that made it to the semifinals, but also the one LAN event where NA completely flopped, other than Rio.
I was going to say, there's been a few more since then. Like, NA has definitely choked up pretty good.
I can't say that anymore. I'm already seen as the biased EU casters.
Here, I'll be the new biased one.
Yeah, biased EU West Coast.
Yep. Getting back into the game. Reciprocity. Rigid as ever with their 5 attacking operators, but no real reason to change. Last time around, it was no pressure and no attention given towards the basement at all. Hot and Cold, I think, got 2 or 3 kills from downstairs through kill holes. Reciprocity just blatantly ignoring that position of the setup, and it led to their immediate demise. And now Retro through kill holes once again. Nyx, this time from above inside of VIP, will take down Retro. There goes your entry on the Ash, but like we've seen time and time again, there have been man deficits on either side that have been brought back from the grave. I don't see Reciprocity in too much of a hole losing the Ash, just a little bit of momentum lost.
Yeah, no matter which team you're rooting for here, you want that 6th round on the board. At least put up a tie on the board for yourself and that extra point. Keep yourself in contention. EG looking to run away maybe with an extra few points today. Or, well, not today, but
next week.
Next week, I guess, since they were supposed to play against Orglis, but it's not in there. And Fox, what are you doing? Nyx finds another free kill. Habana Hall's already opened up here to enter onto the A bomb site, but it's 3 versus the 5, and there's still potential for those holes on the top floor. Mark will walk into a goo mine, narrowly escaping damage to an Hot and Cold still on the side. Laxing too slow to come in and refrag, and there's been no frags at all. No damage done to DarkZero. Nyx lurking around, but finally Skies is going to shut him down. Not a moment too soon. 55 seconds on the clock, and Hot and Cold hugging that blue bar. Diffuser on the floor, and Habana trying to keep him against him. And HonCold, one more frag on the board. Last alive is Laxing, as we've seen him a couple times actually at this point. We'll spot the small angle, but already down, and BC with a UMP takes him out. Well played from DarkZero. They put themselves on that dreaded map and match point, and Reciprocity will have to fight to get at least 1 point. Well, maximum 1 point at the end of the play day.
Well, again, Reciprocity getting very site-centric in their push, really, really ignoring the opposite floor portions of the map from the objective. Last time around, ignoring the office and blue bar section. This time around, I guess just not having the intel that Nyx was upstairs, although given that he was a Vigil, kind of an understandable oversight. But after that, I mean, it all just kept falling apart in 1v1s, and that's not something you hear very often with Reciprocity, the 1v1s not going their way.
And you know what the problem is? Reciprocity, the thing that, at least for me, is even more heartbreaking is that Reciprocity have the perfect counters to that sort of play. They're joining very well. They have a lot of time, so they're managing their time bank pretty well. They have Ashe, they have Jackal, they have Zofia, and Capital. All 4 operators that allow you to corner off operators like the Vigil and take him out. So nothing's being done, and then you lose one player after the other because they're kind of spread out and just running through the motions of their standard strategy. And you said, you know, throwing that monkey wrench in the whole thing. And who would have thought that it would be as simple as just playing an excellent Vigil like Nyx was? And now the big change is that HonCold and Jarvis and BC are each going to be running an ACOG. We're running the Doc, Echo, Maestro combination, as we didn't see Maestro nor Echo ban on this map.
Yeah, it feels like, in stark contrast to the way that Team Reciprocity began their attacking rounds on this map and the way that DarkZero played their attacking rounds, Reciprocity feel like they're getting a little ahead of themselves, honestly. They look like they're skipping a few crucial steps in that site execute, especially early on. I've talked about it a couple times now. The roam clear not really be all that effective in the last 2 rounds consecutively, and they're going to run into another opposition quite quickly here as Mint is posted up inside of the office, and wow, it takes a lot of damage, down to 20 HP, and Retro with a beautiful shot into Nyx, the flanking cover, so there goes one of the roamers, and the Echo drone just blasting away the visibility of Foxe and Retro as they both push in, pitching on either side, and Foxe will collect a kill onto Mint. So, I say that Reciprocity have a pretty terrible roam clear, and look at them go right now. 2 gone, hot and cold, taking immeasurable amounts of damage in behind that front lobby desk, and there's barely a minute eclipsed.
Yeah, HonCold can stem himself back up, so you are supposed to see him back at full HP, but we've seen both teams bring it back in a 3v5 situation before. Now, the lack of presence of the IQ from Reciprocity is going to make those yokai drones a bit more difficult to deal with, and that's why DarkZero kind of adapted to run the Echo in that position. Now, are they expecting this peak? Yes, they are! Mark! A beautiful headshot to take down Hot and Cold, but Jarvis on the refrag. Retro is already down to BC and Jarvis, last 2 alive. 2 great anchors and the 2 operators. If you had the opportunity to have alive in a situation like this, BC rotating in, but he spots the smoke and already shuts down one side that he would have used to his advantage. Echo firing in the back with the MP5, not able to hit anything. They're just looking through and all the way down. The one entrance that is now allotted, the yokai, or the Capitao in the back will move in. No yokai is available just yet as they'll spray in the back. Somehow, Mark is alive. I really can't explain this. He's going to go for the plant, and no smoke's available, of course, just because you're not even running him. The Maestro's been down. Jarvis is going to try to move in, and Fox and Laxing get a kill each. Reciprocity to tie it up 6-6, and that's how it goes. A first game coming back at the half, and it's a tie between Rec and DarkZero.
Interesting. I'm a little confused there.
Perplexed.
Jarvis as the Echo. Not really echoing things there at the end.
Get out of here.
A very chaotic situation to be in.
Get out of here.